everyone. My name is Annie Camps. I'm currently Miss Mississippi Crown 2024. I'm very excited to be here today to talk about my journey with body dysmorphia and with eating disorders and everything that has to do with that. I think it's very important to have these conversations and to talk about serious topics like this. So I really want to thank you for having me on. However, my journey started well before I started in pageantry. A lot of people believe that individuals who participate in pageantry and also have experienced with disordered eating and body dysmorphia, often that it happened in tandem, right? But I remember at a very young age, I was on the swim team and I saw that I had stretch marks. And I had about a panic attack at the age of 10, begging and crying my mom not to let me go to swimming, because I had stretch marks. Didn't even know why they were really bad. Didn't really know why I was upset about it, but just knew that I was different. And I grew up on a farm. My family is very athletic. And so even now to this day, as a personal trainer and group fitness trainer, I am just a very big, strong girl, right? And so I think that's where it stemmed from when I was younger. But it was always a constant idea in my head that I was quote unquote bigger than other people. And so when I started to get older, I would have a lot of friends that were very small, right? Everyone is born differently, but I started to think, maybe that there was something lesser in me, because I was a big, strong girl, which I then found out later, spoiler alert, is one of the most amazing things that I love about myself, right? But it really weighed on me. And I started to notice it taking a toll negatively when I was finishing up my junior senior year of college. I finished in 3 years, so it was my last year of college, but I was still a little bit younger. And it was when I started buying my own food, right, and did all of my own activities. And I was like, well, I've always been a bigger girl, and now I have to buy my own food, so I might just buy a little bit less food. I might just, eat healthier things. It's cheaper, and then I'll be skinnier, and it'll all work out well, right? So, I started to notice it would get to the point where I would eat, a couple things of beans for dinner, and I'd be like, great, this is awesome. Like, you're a winner, right? When in reality, that is not enough food to sustain someone who is going through college, who is literally living a very active lifestyle, going to the gym, doing all of these things. I needed energy to sustain myself, but I never actually got to the point where I was diagnosed with an eating disorder. And I think that that's one of the most important reasons why I want to share my story, because it's not really something that I touch on a lot, but it is something that's still actively a part of my daily life, right? I kind of feel a little bit of shame about it and about never talking to anyone about it and not getting a diagnosis or not sharing, my problems when it was at its peak. But I also am really proud of myself for then turning to education, which helped me kind of get out of that rut and realize, that there are a lot of positive things that come with being a strong, healthy woman, whatever that might be and however that might look for you. But body dysmorphia is really something that I think every person on the planet struggles with to an extent, but that's something that I still struggle with to this day. And although through education that I'll get to in a minute and through kind of the things that I've done with myself, I don't struggle with, restrictive eating is what some people would call it, or warning signs of anorexia or binge eating. I don't struggle with any of those things anymore. I do struggle with body dysmorphia. And when I was preparing to talk about my story and how I wanted to approach this, I was thinking about how I would explain my body dysmorphia, or maybe someone else's if they fit with it, to someone who has no idea what it means. And to me, when I look in the mirror, there is no one else I'd rather be, right? I love myself. I think I'm great. If you were to say, who exactly do you want to look like to be perfect? I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. But if you were to ask me, do you then think you're perfect? I would say, no, absolutely not. There are things that I want to change. But there's not an idea of what I want to look like. There's no perfect answer. It's just that I am not it, right? And that's so hard to think about. And as someone who really, really loves myself and who I am, and to still have those days where it's like, oh, I I don't like the way that I look and I don't quite know why. That's something that's really hard to deal with. Um, but it's something that, comes and goes. And so what it was able to help me was I started going through my own lifting journey at the gym, and I started going to classes, and I started learning and taking training to be a group fitness instructor. And through that, I actually tangibly learned that your body cannot function. You cannot be strong. You cannot be healthy unless you feed yourself. And my whole goal to be skinny and strong was not happening if I wasn't eating the proper things and taking care of my body and drinking water, which is mind blowing when you think, okay, all of this is done because I want to look and feel a certain way, but all the things I'm doing weren't even helping me achieve that goal. So learning those things and learning how to have, a proper diet and understanding that it's okay if you're eating, sweets and snacks, if you're being healthy and you're doing your activities and you're having an intake. And most importantly, that fuels your mental happiness. So important, right? You always have to remember that it's about your health, but also about your mental health. And if that candy or that candy bar gets you through the day and you're having a hard day, that is so much more important than restricting yourself and having to deal with it that way. So I was able to learn, how to fuel my body and how important that was, and then able to share that with other people. So I still teach group fitness classes, and that's something that I really love. And especially with the Miss America opportunity, adding Miss America Fit back in, being able to have conversations about myself as a group fitness trainer and how I've had my own journey with, eating, and how I also struggle with body dysmorphia, and how you don't just wake up and look fit and strong and healthy. And it is a journey to get there, but it's also a constant journey. And so that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to share my story here, because of a lot of people don't know that journey, right? I started the Miss America opportunity before I had joined any sort of training, any sort of education. And so I do look drastically different, but it's because I've learned to accept myself and who I am and how my body works and how to fuel who Annie is, and what makes me happy. And that is weightlifting, that's swimming, being an athletic person, being someone who takes care of my body, but also someone who really likes candy and will eat a lot of candy if she wants to, right? Um, so it's very important for me to share that story as someone who you may see and say, okay, she's very fit, she's very strong, she does that as a job. So I hope that I would be fit because I do it frequently, right? Sometimes I say that if I didn't make it look easy, I wasn't doing a very good job. But seeing that from the outside, but also understanding that it took a lot of time, right? And this is just the body that I'm in now. And in 10 years, it's going to be different. And 10 years from then, it's going to be different. But as long as I'm healthy and I'm fueling myself, that's what matters. Because at the ripe age of 26, I cannot be going through my day being tired and worn down. And so being the healthiest, best version of myself is the best thing that I could do for me and what I want to do in the future. So I don't have any answers as to how you get rid of thinking about these things, quite honestly, as honest and raw as I can say it. But what I can tell you is that if you love yourself and you're doing things for the right reason, it will get better. And there's always going to be a brighter end at that tunnel, right? But that's why we're here sharing our stories so that you can know you're not alone, and you can know that there are other people out in the world, even if it's just one, that are dealing with somewhat of the same things that you are. So I want to thank you again for having me here to share my story, and I hope that this helps someone out in the atmosphere.